Hi heathens! So this video is going to be a get ready with me and kind of impromptu movie review because I was doing a pet sit this past week and watched, now I don't remember if it was on Tubi or Freebie, one of the free movie things, but it was a movie called Wind Chill. I originally couldn't remember if it was called Chill Zone or Wind Chill, so then my brain just combined the two. Anyway, the main actress is Emily Blunt, so I was like, okay, you know, can't be too bad. It looked like kind of a, I don't want to say cheap, but like borderline B grade, just from the little picture they had up at the top. Horror movie, like the kind of movie that Netflix used to make, which now I have a very nostalgic love for those kind of movies. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's watch this horror suspense, whatever, featuring Emily Blunt. Okay, so they bring you in, and her character is in college. She's gonna be traveling home for, like, the holidays, but this year has decided to find a ride there, versus taking a plane. So that's kind of like the whole beginning, and then it takes you into where she's walking from class. I think I'm going to use a Jelly Much for my eyes. This is the ColourPop Villains Perfectly Wretched Jelly Much. I don't know if it's dried out yet, but if it's not, that's what I want to use. So anyway, you go see her, like, walking back to her dorm, and there's a piece of paper with the little phone number slots to rip off at the bottom. They're not called slots, but my brain can't think of the word. And it says, like, call if you need ride to Delaware. Might say, like, Delaware for the holidays or whatever, but she sees it. She's like, huh, I'm gonna need a ride to Delaware. So she grabs one, calls. So fast forward, she meets up with the guy who is going to be giving her the ride to Delaware. And she's, like, going to put stuff in his trunk. It's a little dried out. So I went to go grab some off the top, and it just, like, went everywhere, all over my floor. I might have to spray this with setting spray. Yeah, because that's clumpy. And these are not clumpy polishes. Or, would you still consider this a polish? No. What? Oh my god. I don't know what just happened. I don't consider these clumpy shadows, usually. Just scratch that whole original thought. So, anyway, I'm going to spritz it with some setting spray. See if I can't make it the texture it's supposed to be. Anyway, so she goes to put her stuff in this guy's car, and he's like, oh, by the way, I'm getting kicked out of my apartment, so there's a lot of my stuff back there, like, that's why I'm also going to Delaware, whatever. And she moves some of his stuff, puts her stuff in, and, like, okay, this is the first time they're meeting. So already, the visit is incredibly awkward. Like, obviously, they've talked on the phone, so it's not like they need, like, real introductions. But I feel like if this is the first time you were meeting someone in person, and you've only talked, like, once, and it was to say, hey, I want to take you up on that offer for a ride to Delaware, and you came out of your class and he was just, like, waiting in the parking lot, I feel like, personally, I would want to properly introduce myself, like, hi, I'm Sunny, nice to meet you, thank you so much for this offer. But no, they just start with this, like, awkward banter, because he's obviously, like, kind of a shy person, or, like, at least not very great with talking to girls. He's just kind of awkward. And so she gets all frustrated. Mind you, I don't like her character from the beginning, because she just comes across very snotty and entitled. But anyway, so he's, like, trying to help her, and he's all weird, and she's like, you know what, I got it. Like, just go start up the car. I'll get my stuff in here. So she takes some of his stuff out, like, to rearrange, puts hers in, and winds up not putting his stuff back in the trunk. Which, again, I was like, okay, well, that's kind of shitty. But whatever. And so she's got her stuff in there now. She goes, gets in the car. They start to head out. She's on the phone with someone talking about a guy that she was supposed to go to Cabo with, and it not working out, whatever. Well, when she gets off the phone, he's, like, trying to make conversation, and he's like, you know, that's part of this ride-sharing thing, you've got to help keep me entertained. And she's like, well, I don't get much more entertaining than when I'm on the phone, so you had your entertainment. And he's like, okay, whatever. But they do start talking, and she takes, like, a little picture of him, because she's, like, intentionally irritating him, and talking about, like, you know, this is your on-flight entertainment. She starts asking him where he's from, what happened, blah, blah, blah. So, we get a little further into the movie. Again, very, very awkward situation. So, she's painting her nails. Mind you, her toenails, it's winter. She's painting her toenails on the dashboard of this stranger's car. The whole thing, like, their initial interaction, honestly, their whole interaction, but I'll get to that in a second, just bothers me, and I can't tell if it's because it's such an awkward stranger's encounter, like, it's already awkward, why are you making it weirder, or if it's because it just makes me dislike her so much, because she's just so arrogant, and just so mean, like, kind of for no reason. Well, we get to a point where, like, okay, maybe she has a reason, because he makes some comment about they are in the same, one of the same classes together, and she's obviously never recognized him, because she's like, what? There's like 200 people in that class, like, I'm sorry that I've never noticed you and had no idea we were in that class together. And she finds out that, okay, I might be getting my timeline mixed up just a little bit, but she finds out that he is not actually from Delaware. And so at some point she's like, okay, that's weird. And then she tells him that the next gas station they see, he needs to pull over because she needs to use the restroom. So we get in the restroom, or we get to the gas station. She doesn't want to get out because her toes aren't dry, because she didn't expect they'd find a gas station this soon. So he carries her in on his back. And then, again, weird interaction. So this gas station in the middle of apparently nowhere is attached to, like, a restaurant. So she goes through the restaurant to get into the bathroom. And then, while she's in the bathroom, it, like, you kind of hear her hear voices, and she goes to leave, and is somehow locked in, and she's, like, banging on the door, and, like, screaming. I'll be honest with you, I don't remember her name or the guy's name. I am that disinterested that I don't remember. Now, is there a chance that the movie just never says? Yes. But I'm going to say that is highly unlikely, I probably just don't remember because the movie was such a disappointment. Spoiler alert. Okay? So anyway, she's like banging on the door and screaming that she's locked in and, you know, for someone to come help her. And, you know, it's kind of like a creepy scene. She like gets up on the sink and is like trying to yell through the vent, and she can hear the guy that she came with talking through the vent. And so she's getting even more angry because, like, she can hear him, so, like, why is he ignoring her? Like, what's going on? So, here's where another one of my gripes comes in. Like, we're in the spooky scene where she's, like, locked in the bathroom and, like, banging on the door. Well, finally the door opens, and she, like, storms her way back up to the front of the gas station and confronts her friend, and she's like, what the hell? Like, you didn't hear me yelling for you? You didn't hear me banging on the door? And he's like, what are you talking about? Because he genuinely didn't. Well, A, she's just so angry about it for no reason. Second off, she just went through a whole restaurant to get to him. And the bathroom. Third off, friend is talking to the, like, cashier. And neither him or her bother to turn to the cashier and go, you didn't hear it either, right? He's just there for no reason, and you would think if you're this mad at this guy, especially this guy that you don't even know, who has, realistically, no reason to lie to you, and I guess no reason to tell you the truth, you'd look at the only other person that's been there the whole time, and be like, did you hear me screaming? Like, why? But no, because that makes too much sense. So anyway, she storms off into the car, and he puts gas in the car. They drive off. While they're driving, at some point he pulls off the road and, like, says that they're going on, like, a scenic detour or whatever. She starts freaking out because she already doesn't like him this whole time, even though she's also kind of a bitch herself. But that's neither here nor there. I just really don't like her character. Sorry, y'all. So, she gets really upset. And she's like, what are you doing? And he starts telling her, like, this is the scenic route. I wanted to avoid some traffic, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, absolutely not. Like, put me back on the main road and get back on the interstate. And he's like, no, it's fine. Well, they argue about this a bit, blah, blah, blah. Well, at some point, they get on this really thin stretch of road, and there is another car coming towards them in the snow. And there's not, like, anywhere to pull over. Like, it is the road, and then, like, shelves of snow around it. Well, anyway, she, like, goes to fight him for the wheel because she tells him to, like, pull over so the guy can get past. And the guy's like, where exactly am I supposed to pull over to? There's not exactly a shoulder of the road. So she, like, grabs it. They swerve. I don't remember if they wind up actually hitting the other car or not, but I know they swerve, like, off to the side into a bunch of snow and crash. Both of them, like, get hurt, but not, like, detrimentally. At this point, just, like, some bang-ups. So, anyway, she starts yelling at him for it being some setup. And I don't know if it's happened before this or if it happens right here, but this is where I'm telling you. So if you've seen the movie and you're like, yeah, this happened earlier, my bad. If you haven't seen the movie and then you watch it and then backwards, also my bad. But it's not really worth watching, even free. Anyway, she finds out that not only is he not from Delaware, but he put those up specifically for her. The stuff of his that she left in the parking lot on accident, I don't really know if she meant to or not, because in the beginning, she just kind of does not give a crap about any of his stuff in the back, even though his car. And, turns out, you find out that that bag was $60 worth of groceries, that of course they need now, because they're stuck. And, she starts blaming it for it being all some setup, and that even the other person was involved, and it's just some big scam. And he's like, do you realize how ridiculous you sound? Like, I got someone to run into us so that we could be stranded in a snowstorm without a car. But anyway, you find out that not only is he not from Delaware and all this and that, he put up the sign and stuff, like, with the phone number to rip off, specifically to try to target her. Because he, like, sits behind her in that class that they share, was reading over her shoulder onto, like, messages that she was sending onto her phone. And, like, this whole time, you don't know whether or not to believe that this guy's a creep, or if he's just trying to be nice, because she's already so unfriendly that you can't tell if he's just trying to be extra friendly, or if her being mean back just makes him seem creepy. But anyway, he's kind of a creep. So the whole time they're making you not know if you want to like him, so then you kind of not like him. Because, yeah, he's been reading messages on her phone, so that's how he knew that she wasn't taking a flight this year. He has been listening to, like, her calls and conversations and stuff, so he knows all of her favorite, like, snacks and foods. So all the groceries that were in that bag were things that he has heard her talk about liking. So it is literally, she says later in the movie, no. Yeah, it's later in the movie, because it's not when he first tells her what some of the stuff in it was. But she's like, it is literally like I made my last meal on Earth, you know? Like, that's how on spot he got these groceries. But anyway, yeah, so he's just a creep. Like, the crash was not on purpose. But he put up this sign, had essentially been stalking her moments in class, specifically to hope that she would be the one, or at least one of the ones, that she would see it, grab it, contact him, and then he could get her alone to try to, like, flirt with her so that they could be a thing. Very weird. And so, of course, understandably, she is very, very off-put by this, because she already thinks that he's sketchy. She already thinks this whole situation is, like, suspicious. I grabbed the wrong palette for highlighter. And so, like, that's just not helping anything. So, anyway, at some point he says he's going to go walk back to the gas station that they had been at and try to get some help, because where they are, they also have no phone signal. And she's like, you're not going to make it to the gas station. He tries to convince her to come with him, but since she doesn't trust him, she says that she's just going to stay in the car and she'll just wait for him. Well, while she's waiting for him, she sees funny comment from earlier. The window in the car, you learn early on that it only goes up so much. And so when he goes to go to the gas station, he's like, okay, well, you know, if you wind up wanting to close up that hole in the window, like the gap, if you're not going to come with me, I keep some duct tape in the back. And she's like, of course you do. Because, like, how creepy is that? But anyway, so she gets the duct tape, gets some newspapers, and is, like, taping up the window. Well, while she's doing this, she sees a figure of someone walking down the road. And she just jumps out, and she's like, wait, we need help, please help. And the guy just keeps walking past her. Absolutely no acknowledgement. So you're like, okay, maybe this is where it gets creepy, because clearly it wasn't in the bathroom earlier. Oh, which, by the way, the creepiness of the bathroom scene, other than to just amp up some suspense, serves zero purpose. Bathroom doesn't come up again. So, just FYI. That was where my irritation started, when I started thinking about everything. Okay, so anyway, dude walks right past her. So she goes to, like, grab him, and her hand burns through the mittens, or maybe that's later. Anyway, she goes to grab him, doesn't get his attention, and on her way back to the car, the guy comes back, her driver. I don't want to call him her friend. But anyway, he comes back and freaks her out. She's like, why are you back so fast? What happened? And he's like, oh, the gas station was closed and I didn't have anything to write on to leave a note, so I just went ahead and came back. And she's like, no, those gas stations are supposed to be open 24/7. You're lying. What's going on? And he's like, well, I don't know what I don't know what you want me to tell you. I don't run the gas station. So, he says, you know, let's get out of the cold. Let's go back to the car. We at least have that. And she says she's not going back to the car. He's like, okay, well, if you change your mind, I'll be in the car then, because I'm freezing. So he goes, gets back in the car. A little bit later, she does join him. They start talking again, blah, blah, blah. And then the order of these things, because it all just blends together. Okay, at some point, he is back out in the woods and tries to follow some of the people that he sees, that are just kind of wandering and not paying any attention. And he winds up stumbling across, like, this area with some dead bodies. My voice did a thing there, but it's exactly how I feel. And not because it's creepy, but because it's dumb. So anyway, he goes into the area, he finds some dead bodies. We kind of get these teeny flashbacks of things, and we get some later as well. But then there's a point where she and he are sitting in the car. Someone comes and knocks on the door. It's a cop. I don't remember exactly what he says, but she turns and tells the guy, like, hey, this is a shakedown. How much money do you have on you? Blah, blah, blah. So she goes to talk to the officer, and he's like, well, just get in my car. And she's like, I am absolutely not getting in your car. Well, then they look over, and there's these 3 men standing in the woods watching, and the cop's like, we have an audience, get in the car. So he goes to, like, drag her into the car, and the guy that she came with has since gotten out of his vehicle and is, like, running up. I'm gonna show y'all this real quick. Get a little closer. I'm about to put my glasses back on while I finish talking and doing my lips. So anyway, he runs around, has, like, some kind of, like, weapon in his hand, and is like, let go of her, and, like, swings it, and it goes through the cop's head, and they, like, get sucked back into the driver guy's car. And so both of them are like, what the heck just happened? Like, who was he? Where is he? Because now he is gone, and we just, like, transported back into your car. Well, she looks over, and he's, like, gripping the thing, and turns out, because, you know, it's cold outside, but his fingers have essentially, like, melted to it. So she, like, rips them off, not the fingers off the item. That would have made for a scary movie, because that would have been really unexpected. But, so, she takes his hands and, like, goes to put them on her stomach, but, like, he just notices that she's putting them up his shirt, and he's like, I'm not really in that kind of mood anymore. And she's like, no, I'm trying to just warm up your hands. And, because they're gonna hurt. And, you know, we get to the point where he's like, okay, yeah, they really do hurt. Like, they're on fire. So, she says that she is going to get him some Tylenol, because she apparently brought some with her on her trip. So anyway, she gets him some Tylenol. We have seen him, like, just getting progressively worse this movie. When he had come back from the gas station, she had noticed, like, a cut on the side of his head that was bleeding. And so anyway, we've just noticed him getting progressively worse and worse. And since the movie doesn't have very good exposition, you don't really know if it's because of what they're going through, or because of the car crash, or, you know, whatever. So, anyway, at this point, somehow it manages to lose even more sanity, and she is now, like, crushing on him, and what he did was kind of cute and stupid, and she goes to get a phone that she saw in his car, like old school landline, and climbs a phone pole that there's also another person on, plugs the landline into the, like, jack box that's sitting on top of the telephone pole, gets a call out to 911. The 911 operator can't hear her, can't understand her, and then finally the line drops. She goes back to the car. Dude man is, like, not here anymore. She had found out that he had actually gotten really hurt during the accident, had been coughing up blood. That was where the head injury was from, like, was getting progressively worse and worse from the accident. So, one of the whole kind of concepts of the movie that they reference is eternal recurrence, where you live the exact same life over and over and over again. And the guy at some point, while he's in the process of passing, says that he wouldn't mind if it was real, and he would live his life exactly the same. And she was like, even the last 24 hours? Like, we're stuck here and probably won't even make it out. He's like, yeah. He's like, actually, I would make one change. I'd just come say hi to you after class instead. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cute. Well, again, now she's, like, crushing on him, so she also thinks it's cute, and at some point they kiss. Anyway, it's very weird, because it's very, they say you're not supposed to like Joe from You, but his relationships with the end result taken out of it somehow are less creepy than whatever this is. Okay, it's anyway, weird. So she gets back. He is not okay. She starts crying. She's freaking out. Eventually, another cop comes up, says that he got the call about the accident on 606. He was there. He was going to be taking one of them straight away to trauma unit. And she's driving with him. He's given her the history of the road, because apparently the road's very dangerous. And there was a corrupt cop that at one point was, like, taking women and unaliving them. And then at one point ran these 3 guys off the road and unalived them. And then at one point had unalived a couple by causing them to freeze to death. And then you find out that those 3 were the 3 that were watching the cop try to drag her to his truck earlier, and they were priests who went to the other scene of that other crime, and then they were all found frozen in their own beds. I don't know. Anyway, her and this cop are, like, talking about this, and they're going down the road, and another vehicle comes at them, and the cop's like, oh, that's probably my backup, McConklin or whatever. Todd. Anyway, you can tell how much I paid attention to the names, because I knew how much they were all going to matter. But anyway, the girl's like, that's not Todd. And the cop's like, well, who is it then? What are they doing? And of course, it's Ghost Cop again, like, coming at them. They swerve. The cop gets out because he sees in the distance the other vehicle. And it's like flipped over. He's like, oh, I gotta go help him. She's like, he's already dead. He's not real. And the guy's like, I don't care, I've gotta go help him anyway. So she follows him. And they get there. And the 3 priests are coming down to the wreck, which the car's on fire. You can hear the radio, the cop radio, kind of crackling in some voices. One of the priests goes and, like, unplugs it. And then they just walk away. And the cop in the burning car is like, oh, you think you're gonna get rid of me? You're never gonna get rid of me. And other cop and girl are just kind of standing there watching. And they're like, what a shame. And the car bursts into flames. They're like, oh, well, that's that. And then, sorry, I cannot with this movie. So anyway, they're like, oh, well, I guess that's that. And then upside down on fire cop, like, lurches out of the truck, winds up grabbing other cop and unaliving him. And as she's running away, he goes to get her. Guy friend, Ghost, comes up with bar, says, don't you touch her or let go of her or whatever he said earlier, swings it. She flies back into the car. She's next to him. He's still not okay. And she gets out of the car, starts walking around, walks to somewhere, gets to a gas station, I guess tells the cops and EMTs where the wreck happened, so they're able to go retrieve his body. And she just has her phone. This is my light charger, but she just has her phone and she's just sitting there staring at it. And then it shows what she's looking at, and she's looking at the picture she took of him earlier while she was making him angry, and she's just sitting there crying. In the end, I genuinely don't understand. Like, the whole thing didn't make any sense, because even with the concept of a haunted road, the story was so disjointed. The people that had passed on the road were so irrelevant, other than to the flashbacks and the story of, oh, he took some girls, he drove some people off the road. But, like, who they are or anything shouldn't actually matter, because it doesn't matter to the integral part of the story. The bathroom scene earlier that went to nothing, which was arguably one of the potentially freakiest parts of the movie, was for no reason. She falls absolutely head over heels with this stalker guy, because actually he was kind of sweet, and maybe if she hadn't been so mean, this whole thing wouldn't have happened, and whatever. I think it's supposed to be some big character change, where she's like, oh my god, I need to not be so selfish and awful, but it doesn't make any sense. And I guess he's one of the ones that haunts the road now, or maybe since the cop showing up made the other cop showing up finally go. I don't know if the road is still haunted. I have no idea why anyone was able to interact with him that time, even though any other time any of this has replayed, it's just ended. I don't know. I don't know how much of my eyebrows I just rubbed off either, but anyway. The movie has me very worked up. I'm sorry. On a rating scale, 1 out of 5 buns. The movie gets 0.5 buns. And I am so sorry, Emily Blunt, because I was expecting it to be good. I think it was from 2007. So, like, not long enough to be bad. You know, just for the sake of bad. But this one was just bad. If you've seen it, please let me know, because there could be a chance that I'm just completely missing something, I'm misinterpreting something, I missed one little detail that changes everything I think about it, please let me know. Because I really want it to just not be a bad movie and me have missed something. So, anyway, little makeup look I did while going on an absolute rant about that movie. Thumbs up if you enjoyed. Kudos if you sat through this whole thing, because it's probably going to be about 30 to 40 minutes. Even if you fast forwarded a little bit, thank you for just listening to me complain. Thumbs up if you enjoyed, subscribe to see more of my content, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.